And I left my wine over there. I need to get my wine. That was almost a tragedy. Okay, let's get started. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am Britt, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should, because I talk about geeky things, and today we're going to talk about Beast Morphers. From what I understand, this is the mid-season finale, at least that's what Twitter said, so let's get talking. So this is episode 9 of Power Rangers Beast Morphers Season 2, and it is called Secret Struggle. If you guys want to miss the total episode recap, you guys can go ahead and hit this timestamp here below, or you can hit down into the description. I'm going to go ahead and start putting it there as well for anybody who wants to jump ahead. So there you go. So we open with Nate, Ben, and Betty as Nate is showing off his newest weapon that he has created. Something about the Morph Beast, the new Zord. I can't remember the name of it. You can't be bothered. Some slapstick ensues because, you know, Ben and Betty are funny. And Ben and Betty go flying around the lab because they're funny. And because every time they touch something, it has to be a slapstick moment, because that is their only existence in this show. Steel comes in after Ben and Betty have crashed and the funny has finally stopped, and asks Nate to work on his Zord. Nate said that he's been working all day on this new weapon and he's really tired, so he just kind of wants to do it tomorrow if that was okay. And then Zoe walks in and asks Nate basically the exact same question. And Nate's like, okay. Because obviously Nate is in love with Zoe. Zoe's in love with Nate. We've already established this. After Nate left, Steel felt kind of jilted over the fact that, you know, Nate said no to him, but yes to Zoe. And then it came to his realization that they like each other. And Zoe comes clean about it, but says they're not going to break the rules. So they're not going to date. But Steel has other plans for them. So a little bit later we see Evox and Roxy as Roxy is giving Evox some Morph X so that he can turn back into the mayor. Because as we know, he needs Morph X in order to become the mayor. So she's giving him some of that. But then just very conveniently, Zoe sees them. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Cosmo, are you okay? Honey, are you okay? That was very scary. I wish the cat would leave shit alone. I know. You stay by mom, okay? You stay right here by mom. I now have Cosmo next to me because Nova just dumped my light on him, so Umbrella is just done for. Oof, this Umbrella has seen better days. Evox turns back into the mayor. Zoe comes up and sees the mayor with Roxy. That's where we were. Wow, okay. Zoe comes up and sees the mayor with Roxy, and he comes up with this plan that, of course, Roxy is trying to kidnap him. And so Zoe morphs, fights Roxy, Roxy leaves, and she brings the mayor back to the base where she tells them that they're after the mayor, and they just can't seem to understand why. This is legitimately probably the only plot hole that I found in the entire episode, but it was still frustrating. It becomes clear to everyone that the mayor obviously needs security detail so that he's not kidnapped by Evox. So Steel offers up Nate and Zoe to try and put those two together. We find out that Evox only has a couple of hours before he will turn back into Evox from the mayor, and he's gonna need more Morph X. But of course, being that he's just going to be constantly monitored, and Nate infused him with a tracker, that this is not going to be an easy task. It's not going to be an easy task for him to be able to sneak away enough time to be able to get Morph X. So this is kind of the driving tension during the entire episode, which is fine. Like, I'm not complaining about it. It's a fine tension. But it's a tension more for the audience and for obviously the villains than it is for the Rangers, which is a little off to what we would normally be seeing in an episode of Power Rangers, but it's not a bad thing. Note, not a bad thing. Steel enlists the help of Ben and Betty in order to help Nate and Zoe go undercover as, you know, bodyguards. So they have these magical balls that they throw at them and change their outfits and their hair and everything. My only question is why? It is eventually revealed that Steel is actually just trying to set them up on a date, and they kind of tell him again, no, we're not going to date. It's not going to happen. We're not going to break the rules. And Steel decides, nope, I'm still gonna make you break the rules. So as they're watching the mayor in the park, Steel comes up behind them. They're eating what looks to be ramen. They call it just noodles, but it certainly looks to be ramen. And Steel decides that he's going to dump Nate's. So he secretly dumps Nate's. Nate doesn't see that it was Steel that did it, so he just thinks he was clumsy. So Zoe and Nate end up sharing a bowl of ramen, where of course, just like any other kind of noodly meal, we have to Lady in the Tramp it. They don't actually Lady in the Tramp it, they catch it long before their lips meet, but then they actually do almost kiss before Nate spills some of the soup onto Zoe's lap. At the same time, Evox finds his opportunity to vacate the situation to try and get more Morph X. And so at that point, when they both stand up, they both realize that the mayor is gone. They tell the commander that they've lost sight of the mayor. The commander is like freaking out as to why that would ever happen. How could that happen? There were two of you watching. They eventually find the mayor along with Blaze and Roxy, and they kind of vacate before giving him the Morph X. So we're yet again in a position where Evox could be revealed at any time during this episode. And so we're still kind of inching away into that suspense of will it happen or will it not? When they all return to the base, the commander had already looked at some security footage to see as to why they wouldn't have seen the mayor just up and walk away, and that was because they nearly kissed. And so the mayor confronts them about their feelings. They come clean about their feelings in front of everyone, and they get into trouble until Steel realizes that it's his fault. So he admits to dumping the bowl of ramen, but yet the mayor still is pretty frustrated with the two of them because they're still breaking the rules, essentially, because Rangers dating Rangers never turns out well. Ask Kimberly and Tommy. Ask Kat and Tommy, ask Wes and Jen, ask Kira and Trent. I mean, we have got a long list of how relationships with Rangers don't work and make the team weaker. Ravi replaces Nate in the security detail. So he and Zoe leave with the mayor to make sure that the mayor is safe. But as of right now, we're starting to see the implications of him becoming Evox again. He's starting to cough a lot. He's having serious trouble. He's feeling weaker. And so again, we're kind of pushing forward in that suspense. The suspense was actually done very well. It's not something that I mention in my good versus bad, but at the same time, it's something that I do want to note here. I do want that on the record. I feel like the suspense was done well. I wasn't at the edge of my seat, but at the same time, like, I feel like it was done very well compared to other times we've seen suspense in Power Rangers. So well done. Blaze and Roxy end up stealing a tiara from a little girl who doesn't run to her mom screaming that a strange lady just stole her tiara and turned it into a monster. But Roxy makes a tiara monster, Tiara Robotron, and that Robotron attacks the Rangers. Ravi and Zoe morph. Ravi goes and attacks the monster. Zoe stays with the mayor to make sure that he remains safe. The commander finds out about it. She sends Nate and Steel to go help them, when at the same time there's also a Gigadrone. So Devin goes to fight the Gigadrone, which ends up being basically nothing of the storyline. They really did nothing with it. Obviously the monster was destroyed, but there was really nothing that happened there. There was no story. It was just, it happened. Move on. Zoe ends up using Nate's new weapon against Blaze and Roxy. She ends up kind of losing her fight and demorphs. Roxy's walking up to her to shoot her. Nate runs in front of it and gets blasted himself, saving Zoe. He also demorphs and is now incredibly weakened. Zoe gets her strength back, grabs the saber, and just starts going at it unmorphed. Gotta love that. Evox is getting really nervous because Blaze and Roxy are destroyed, and the Robotron is destroyed, the Gigadrone is destroyed, and he still doesn't have Morph X. So he's starting to get real nervous. And then they all head back to the base where the commander decides, based on what she saw in that battle, their relationships with each other all make them stronger as a team. Who would have thought that that would be the case? Again, let's take a look at all the other relationships we have seen in Power Rangers over the years. Anyway, yeah, so essentially Nate and Zoe now get to be an item, and the commander is okay with that. The mayor ends up with a huge coughing fit, runs out of the base, and of course reveals himself to be Evox in front of the Rangers and in front of the commander. So we end with Devin freaking out that his dad is Evox. So there you go. That's it. That is the full episode recap of this particular episode. And there's not a lot to say about it because there wasn't a lot in there that made me go, yeah, or nah. Ben and Betty, obviously, not my favorite characters. This is well known. I don't like a lot of the comedic duos, especially in Neo Saban. I feel like Neo Saban just did comic duos terribly. I feel like Disney did them much better. And even like original Saban did them much better. But at the same time, you know, it's what we got. So let's just move on from it. I mean, obviously the Evox reveal had to happen. I feel like it was a little too soon. I don't like when it happened. I feel like it was just a little too soon in the season for that to happen. Now, granted, I don't want it to be like Dino Thunder, where we find out in like one of the last episodes and just at the end of an episode like this one, but like just very kind of quick. So I didn't want it to be that either, but I feel like this was just a little fast. I feel like we could have played with it a little bit more. I feel like, you know, Evox could have done more damage with Devin because we know that they have a rocky relationship to begin with, and it only got, you know, was only made better because he found out his son was a Power Ranger. I have so many issues with relationships with parents and children in this season. Anyway, I feel like the reveal was too soon. There were so many more stories you could have done before the reveal, but I feel like the writers went, we have no other ideas, let's just reveal it and call it a day. I just feel like 9 episodes just isn't enough. I feel like they could have gone longer. Now, granted, we are about halfway through the season now at this point, but at the same time, I feel like it could have gone 2/3 in before we had the big reveal. I just feel like there's a lot that they could have done. They could have done more of a Dino Thunder thing where maybe Devin finds out and Devin helps keep a secret for a hot second because it's his dad, you know, kind of like Trent. It's his dad. Granted, Trent is a lot more tragic and a lot more faulted than Devin is. So I don't know. But at the same time, I feel like it was just a little too soon. Regardless of what they could have done, it still was just a little too soon. And I hope that there's something more that they do with it. Like, did Devin know? Maybe they lose trust in Devin for a hot second because did he know? And then of course we have the tracker in Evox at this point. So I hope that they don't conveniently forget about the tracker because yikes. That is something that I'll be watching for. I'm actually going to try and make a mental note because obviously this is the mid-season finale and there may be a reason for that because they conveniently forgot about the tracker, so they want us to forget about the tracker too by having a long break before we see another new episode. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So now on to the good. There was a lot of good in this episode. I think the biggest good was that there is actually an evolution of a relationship in this season. We really haven't seen good relationship evolutions in Power Rangers, really. I mean, I guess the last good one was maybe Tyler and Shelby. But again, I feel like relationships within Power Rangers have always been a little rocky. I feel like obviously like Tom and Kimberly were well executed as a relationship, but even Tommy and Kat weren't really all that great. And a lot of relationships were you kind of build up to it, at least with one character you're building up with it. Like, for example, like Jungle Fury, you know that somebody has a crush on somebody, and you know that that person wants to be with the other character, but at the same time, like, there really is no evolution of the relationship until the last episode. It happened again, and also like in Mystic Force. You know, there are a lot of Power Ranger seasons where they just don't play with it, and then Neo Saban, aside again from Tyler and Shelby, really didn't have extensive relationship storylines. So it's nice to see that this actually is going to be a story that we're going to be able to evolve with, and that's actually a relationship. Where, like, I know there was one in Samurai, but again, it was just so off the cuff and so random that, oh, I guess they're together. Okay. And, you know, same thing with Megaforce. Like, again, much like Jungle Fury, we knew that Jake had a crush on Gia, but Gia didn't really have the same feelings, it felt like. And then all of a sudden, oh, okay. You know, it just... They don't really play with relationships. They don't have relationship drama of any kind, so it's nice to see. I'm going to enjoy it, especially since obviously Nate is my favorite character. Zoe is my second favorite character, so it's nice to see that they're going to have a cool story going forward, and I really hope that they do more with that story. The other really big good was the fact that this episode just didn't piss me off nearly as much. There was an issue at the beginning, but I kind of already talked about that. I don't know. It just didn't piss me off as much. It was fine. It's fine. It was actually a pretty good episode. It didn't piss me off nearly as much as some of the others. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on Power Rangers Beast Morphers Season 2, Episode 9, Secret Struggle. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your week until Thursday when you guys get to see my face again and I get to tell you guys my favorite Sentais. I've watched 10 now, so I'm going to rank them all that I've seen so far, so I'm excited to do that. If you guys want to see my last Beast Morphers review, you guys can hit this one right here. Otherwise, click here to see all of the Beast Morphers episode reviews that I've done so far in a playlist. You can click here to subscribe, and of course, hit that bell to receive notifications about all the uploads that I do. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you guys all on Thursday.